Spring has sprung everywhere here. I love this time of year with new life all around, and I'm not surprised that there are so many old traditions to celebrate the arrival of this season. It is a time to celebrate life. One way of marking this time of year is with particular foods. Hot cross buns are delicious sweet yeast and milk buns that were traditionally made on Good Friday to mark the end of the fasting season amongst Catholic believers. The first recordings of recipes for these buns go as far back as the 1700s, but probably people made these delicious buns far earlier than that, traditionally when people had fresh milk and butter and eggs available again after a long winter. People craved this rich, tasty food so much after a cold, dark season that they even wrote songs about it. Here's my version of this recipe. The trick I learned over the years is that with any sweet yeast bread, you want all ingredients to be a nice warm room temperature and make the buns in a fairly warm kitchen, because this really helps the yeast to produce soft, fluffy textured buns. Especially the butter should be nice and soft, and the eggs and milk should be lukewarm. First, mix the flour with the dry yeast in a large bowl. Add the caster sugar and the spices. Also, add the salt and the dried fruit. Then add the butter. Next, whisk the eggs and milk in a separate bowl. Then start mixing the butter and dry ingredients with your fingers until they are nice and crumbly. Then add the milk and eggs. Mix well together. The dough might still be a bit sticky at this stage. Cover with a clean tea towel and let rest for a few minutes. Then go back to kneading the dough for a bit longer until you get a nice soft smooth ball. This is best done on a clean tabletop. If the dough keeps on sticking to your hands, add a bit more flour if needed. The ball of dough goes back into the bowl. Cover with the tea towel and leave in a warm place until it has risen about twice its size. That could take between 1 to 2 hours. Knock back the dough and cover again for a few minutes. The purpose of all this covering is that yeast does not like getting chills, and any cold air draft could slow down the yeast's activity, which would mean your buns wouldn't rise so well and the dough might end up heavy. In the meantime, prepare the egg wash with an egg yolk, some milk and sugar. And sprinkle some flour on a baking tray. Also, heat the oven to 220 degrees Celsius. Then it is time to cut the dough into 12 pieces. Roll each piece into a small ball and lay out on the baking tray. Brush with egg wash. Next comes the artistic part. I use some shortcrust pastry for the decorations. Traditionally baked as a bun eaten in context of the Christian belief around Good Friday, this bun was decorated with a cross. But don't let this be your limit. The buns can be smiley buns, or zigzag buns, or love heart buns, or just left plain, whatever you fancy. When you've finished with your artwork, let the buns rest for another 30 minutes. Then egg wash once more and off they go into the hot oven. After 5 minutes baking time, turn the oven down to 190 degrees and bake for another 15 to 20 minutes. It is a tricky gamble to bake the buns well from the inside, but not have them go too dark on the outside, especially with our oven, which has a temperamental nature. When the buns are golden, including the underside, or dark golden that is in our case, they are done. Whilst the buns are still warm, brush them with the bun wash to give them a sticky shine. Let them cool for an hour or so. They are best served fresh, sliced into half with butter. I guarantee you, if you leave them out like this, they will attract loved ones to your kitchen from far and wide to celebrate the arrival of culinary springtime.